So I was having an interesting conversation with my dad.
Okay.
And my dad is, as you know, self-employed.
Yeah.
And he works, I was asking him, I said, my dad is over 70. He's like 70, he's going to be 73 years old next month. And I said to him, Dad, how many hours a week do you still work? Like I said, because he's there every morning at like 7 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave until 4.
He's dedicated.
Sometimes he's after. Yeah, sometimes it's even after that. So the man's putting in at 73 years old, still 50 hours a week.
Yeah. Wow.
And he used to do more than that. They used to be open on weekends and stuff. But my uncle used to work with him, and my uncle's retired a long time ago. He's like, I've had enough of this stuff. But I think my dad just has a passion for it, so he's still doing it.
I think a lot of people too are like, if I retire, what am I going to do?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely an element of that for my dad, I would argue. But I was thinking about it because whenever I was younger, he used to do, and then I got into doing it for a little bit of time too, running, I worked for a small outfit that couriered blood for the American Red Cross.
Okay.
And so, you would either go pick up boxes at a blood drive and bring them back to the Red Cross for processing, or else you'd take stuff on like routine runs for like supplies and things like that, and it was kind of a nice sort of thing that I could do on the weekends or evenings and stuff like that. And it was a nice little side gig. Mm-hmm. And now my dad used to do it too, but he's done with that, thankfully. Like he still just does his main job. But when he and I were talking about it, it got me thinking about the fact that there's a lot of people these days where side gigs and side hustles are a big thing.
It's sometimes a necessity. Yeah.
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 So, we could kind of look at this, and you were reading an ABA article about this too, I think, right?
Yeah, like a third of adults have a side gig of some sort. Yeah. Just to make ends meet. Yeah.
So I think that there's some valid reasons to maybe just take a little bit of time and talk about side hustles, and from a monetary perspective, are they always effective? What kinds of things, are you definitely making money at it? Or are they worth it? Not? Right. Are they worth doing? So have you ever done anything like that on the side? Like done like side? You do
like
few things.
Videography and photography and stuff like that. But just little tiny side gigs.
So would you call that a side hustle, or would you call that a hobby?
It's a hobby with benefits. Yeah.
Yeah. Hobby with benefits.
Yeah.
I got to remember that one. I like it.
It's one of those where it's, usually the money that I make with that goes to like car insurance for the year or Christmas presents at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So more of a hobby, I guess. Yeah.
How about you? Still, like you said, like you do make some money at it,
Yeah.
I've done things I've done lots of stuff over the years. I've cut grass, and I've done the blood run thing, and I was a radio DJ for a while, and that was never my main gig. It would have if I had been born in 1950, I probably would be doing radio today.
Okay.
Or I would have I would have done radio, as my career.
Right. We learned last month that you walk for money. You have an app.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. There is that app that if you walk around your neighborhood, you can collect stuff and do that. So but I really, you hear about things all the time. People talking about like, I have a side hustle, or I'm gonna, entrepreneurship is a real big buzzword these days.
Yes. Everyone seems to be an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Or wants to be.
Yeah.
The question is, do you have the dedication and sort of nose to the grindstone attitude to really be an entrepreneur?
Right.
Again, my dad's self-employed. I know what it takes, and there are definite advantages to being an entrepreneur. This is also pertinent because this is small business month.
Mm-hmm.
November is dedicated to Small Business Saturday.
Yeah.
There's advantages to being your own boss, 100%. But the advantage, it's kind of like growing up. When you're a kid, you think being an adult is going to be a lot more fun than it is. And I think that sometimes people have this idea that being an entrepreneur is a lot more fun than it is.
Yeah.
Because,
to make my own hours, I don't have to listen to anybody, but you're responsible for you. Yeah. At that point. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you make your own hours and you only work 30 hours a week, you don't make as much money.
Yep.
And when no one's telling you what to do, some people don't have the discipline to do it themselves.
True.
So, shows like Shark Tank and things like that really make entrepreneurship seem really glamorous.
Yeah.
That you can, with nothing but a pipe cleaner and a dream, you can change the world. And if you can, God bless you. I'm really happy for you. But for most people, entrepreneurship is a lot of hard work.
Yep. There's lots of ups and lots of downs. Yeah.
Yeah. And the same goes with these side hustles. There are people that advocate, doing garage sailing and doing, I don't know, what other, I don't know. Did you have any like list of like different things that people tend to, I'm sure grass cutting and things like that are on there.
Delivery services, Ubers and DoorDashes for food. Babysitting.
Yeah, I mean, all of that kind of stuff can bring in some extra cash, but you have to also weigh the consequences of having that job.
Yeah.
And what it can mean. I mean, first of all, I would argue that you better check with your main employer that you're allowed to do it.
That's a good one, yeah.
There are definitely employers out there that do not want you moonlighting and doing anything else. There are some employers that don't care if you moonlight as long as it doesn't have anything to do with what you do during the day.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are
like a non-compete type thing, yeah.
Yeah. So, if you are a lawyer during the day, you probably shouldn't be doing pro bono contract negotiations at night.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. That kind of stuff. So that's the first thing to make sure that if you want to have a side gig or you do have a side gig, you might want to make sure that the side gig is kosher with your actual gig.
Definitely. Yeah.
Your thing you do.
Definitely.
But you also want to make sure that you're actually making money.
Enough money that justifies your time. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that one of the big things, one of the big examples of that is like the door dashing and how does that work? Have you looked into that much at all?
I didn't look into it too much, but how I would imagine it works is DoorDash takes a cut of whatever you're paid from the customer.
Yeah, you're paying the cut, like as the user of the app, you're paying them, and they're paying you, like you Uber or DoorDash, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But you are considered an independent contractor.
Yeah.
Meaning you're responsible for your own
taxes.
For all of your own expenses, all of that kind of stuff.
I'm sure you get a 1099 from them so that you can file your own taxes. Okay.
Yeah. I looked into it a little bit, not so much for myself, but my stepdaughter was thinking of doing some door dashing and Ubering, and not so much Ubering, but door dashing and stuff whenever she was in college. And I said, you really got to think about this because, yeah, it sounds really good on paper. Oh, I can set my own hours, like we talked about.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I can, do this in my off time. I can, make a whole bunch of money. But then when Uncle Sam comes calling in April and wants 30% of whatever it was that you made, you better have set it aside.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of people have trouble putting that money aside. They just want to spend it all. Hey, I made $100. I'm going to spend $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, that's probably an overly simplistic way of looking at it. Yeah. But really, it's like one of those things where, well, if I made $100, I can only spend 70 of it.
Yeah.
The other 30, I better put into a savings account or something like that so that when tax time comes around, I can pay my taxes.
Yeah.
There's also additional things you got to think about that I was sort of bringing up to her at the time. I said, what about whose car are you going to use? Right? Are
they, consider the wear and tear on your car and your gas and all of that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, your tires,
you've added expenses. Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. So you got to include that as just part of your expenses. So if you're making $100 a day on Uber and you're setting $30 aside for taxes, now you better start also setting $10 or $20 of that $100 aside for tires and brakes and gasoline that you're going to need to drive all around town to deliver all of this food.
Yeah. I was reading one of these articles that said something like the depreciation on your car. The IRS said like 50 cents per mile you can factor in as depreciation on your car, which just sounds ridiculous. It
Wow.
sounds really high, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess whenever most of these cars are starting out at $65,000 when they're brand new.
Yeah.
But still, at 50 cents on every mile, you figure if you drive that thing for 80,000 miles, you've just taken $40,000 off the sticker price of your car.
Yeah. So it makes you think a little bit more about your deliveries and what jobs you actually take. Hey, I might be able to deliver, a larger delivery farther away, but that's adding extra miles onto my car that I don't need to add on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people, quite frankly, they use tax preparers and things like that for even their basic taxes.
Mm-hmm.
They go to H&R Block or wherever, and they use TurboTax online or whatever it is. When you become an independent contractor, that becomes exponentially more complicated than the simple 1040 EZ tax return.
Right.
So you definitely want to think about that. What did the ABA say about? You said that how many people did they estimate are now doing a side hustle?
1/3 or 33% of consumers reported working a side job.
Wow.
And it said that among those, 45% were over the age of 40, or under the age of 40, or were financially overextended.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot to be said for that too, because financially overextended seems to be the buzzword of the day as well. I mean,
yeah, working longer hours, paid less. Yeah.
Yeah. And, with everything seeming to continue to creep up, maybe not at the rate it was before. I mean, thankfully, we seem to be past the days of 6 and 7% annual inflation.
Yeah.
But, housing costs are still going up. Other costs have sort of maybe leveled out a little bit, I would say. I mean, my gas, like the price at the pump hasn't really gone too far up or down recently.
Yeah. I haven't been following tariffs very closely, but I'm not sure any new tariffs have gone.
I get a headache trying to follow everything
Yeah.
that has to go on with the tariffs these days, because one minute there's a tariff, the next minute there's not. Sometimes, then it's being renegotiated, and it's
only on this product, and this product. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes your head swim. But yeah, so I mean, and so even beyond like the Dasher stuff, when you start talking about side gigs, I mean, there are people that I've seen signs around town for people that say, like, maybe not so much this time of year, but in the spring and through the summer, I saw a lot of signs around town that said pressure washing.
That's been a big one this past couple of years.
Hire me for pressure washing. I'll come pressure wash your driveway or your deck.
And vent cleaning. That was another one that's been creeping around.
Yeah.
Cleaning duct work in your home and stuff like that with all the lint and everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in those kinds of cases, I guess it depends, first of all, on how much you charge. What the economy will support in terms of what you can charge per session or whatever. But you also have to think about, I guess in that case, you still have the same thing as a Dasher. You still have wear and tear in your car and gas and all that stuff. But if you buy a pressure washer, right, chances are you're going to get many times what you paid for the pressure washer back in terms of the jobs you do. Right. And you only have to buy it once until it breaks down.
Yeah.
But you don't have to buy it once.
Yeah.
Things like the cleaning out ductwork. I don't know if there's machinery or tools involved in that, or if it's literally just a brush and being skinny enough to get into ductwork. I don't know either. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you see those kinds of things. Leaf raking. Things like that you see, people will do.
Lawn care, just in general. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, when I was a teenager, my dad had a sort of a side hustle doing lawn care. We would do 16 or 17 lawns a week.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of them were
that could get
smaller.
pricey. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, some of them were smaller.
Okay.
Some of them were larger. And
do you have a tractor, or was that just all push mower?
Oh, no. We did everything with the push mower for the most part. Everything was like load the push mowers up in the back of the truck and off you'd go.
That's rough. Yeah. Good way to stay fit, though, I guess.
Yeah, you got your steps in for sure. But that was back way before steps being a thing was a thing. You definitely got your exercise in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if you had a rainy spell. If you had a week of rain, oh man, it was awful because you had to try to get as many of those lawns done inside of the 2 or 3 days right after the rain stopped.
If you're the people that take care of my neighborhood, the rain doesn't bother them. They'll be out there at 9 o'clock in the morning during the rain cutting grass. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's not easy to do. I mean, things clump up really easily and stuff, and then and again, so I think the recurring theme that we're finding here is that there are hidden costs to doing side gigs in many cases. And so you have to account for those.
Right.
Before you start, just saying, hey, I've got a side hustle making me $100,000 a year. Just say,
wow, I share that with me. Come on.
Okay. Might have been a little exaggeration on the money there, but say I'm making $10,000 a year on a side hustle. Are you though?
Yeah. Right.
And make sure you're accounting for that kind of stuff.
Burnout's a big factor too. If you're working a 9 to 5, working 8 hours a day to come home to do another side gig, that's going to get old real fast. I mean, I would think so. So you got to make sure that it's worth your time, not seeing your family necessarily or missing holidays or events and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that can be difficult on a relationship.
Yeah. Your mental health.
Yeah. Difficult on relationships with your kids and stuff too, if you're not around a whole lot. And again, they always going back to me whenever we did the grass cutting, like it was still a family affair. We were all there.
Yeah.
But not everything can do that.
Yeah. Right.
Not every side gig is and these days, putting your 14
child labor,
14 or 15-year-old to work isn't as widely accepted as it used to be.
Right.
Which may or may not account for the state of our society. You also mentioned in here rental properties. Talk a little bit about rental properties as a side gig. I think that's definitely worth discussing because I think a lot of people think they can be a landlord.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can, but there's a lot of costs with that too. You have to have enough to be able to replace that hot water heater when it goes bad, or put a new roof on when you have a leak. Yeah, there's just because you can keep a tenant doesn't mean that you're going to make that money every month. You may make that money every month, but it's going to go away too due to repairs.
Yeah. Have you ever you own your house, right?
Yeah.
Or you rent?
But I did rent.
Okay.
At one point, yeah.
Did you rent from a company or from a person?
Rented from a company. Yeah.
Okay. So you probably had an easier time dealing with stuff like that than.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes and no, because I lived in a complex that had building like five or six buildings that had 50 apartments in each. So yeah, they were streamlined on their submitting a ticket. Hey, this doesn't work.
Yeah,
and they'd come fix it. But it may be a little bit of time because they only had so much staff and they were fixing someone else's problem.
Gotcha.
But
yeah. I don't.
Yeah, you rented too at one point.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did. But I also rented from a complex.
Okay.
So it was a company.
Yeah.
And I had my share of issues when it comes to things like that. I think every renter does because you kind of feel like you're hamstrung a little bit by the fact that you can't do the work yourself.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Right.
But I always felt, and I could be. If I had rented from an individual, maybe I would feel differently, but I've heard horror stories the other way. I always kind of felt that renting from a company, I at least had some recourse if things weren't getting done to complain to a higher up, to complain to, if the local property manager wasn't doing something, I could complain to their boss or the Better Business Bureau or something like that. Where if you're renting from an individual, I think some people have a more difficult time with that because if that landlord simply doesn't want to do the work or says, well, I'll get around to it or something like that, who do you go to complain? Yeah,
that's true. It's not like you just say, I'm just going to stop paying, then you get evicted and It's a lose-lose.
Yeah, it's kind of a lose-lose for sure. And not picking on anybody, but just being honest. Whenever I was a renter, I didn't have the money to hire a lawyer. I mean, that's why I was renting.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So, if things go sideways, I don't know how realistic it is that the renter or the tenant can really do much about it if you're renting from an individual.
Yeah, I think if you're renting from an individual, hopefully you have a better relationship with that landlord. Maybe there's a little bit better vetting or more vetting to make sure that was a better fit,
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But if you are thinking of doing this as a landlord, right? If you're thinking of doing this as a side hustle and you say, hey, you know what? There's a couple of houses around town that I could probably fix up and flip. I was watching Property Brothers on HGTV and heck, I can do that. First of all, make sure you can, because, we've talked about that on the show before, where people think that they can renovate a house in a half an hour. It does not work that way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just make sure that you're fully understanding that, you can rent that house out to somebody and make a decent amount of money, and potentially that can be a good income stream for people if you're good at doing that.
Yeah.
But
so my father-in-law is a landlord, but he is also a contractor. So he saves his money by being able to fix all of his problems himself. So, I mean, if you are handy enough and you can do, your good fix-it jobs, then you could be profitable. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the point, is that if you're somebody like your father-in-law and you're really good at this, and this is something that you're good at math and you're good at budgeting, you're good at organization, because if you're managing multiple properties, to your point, something could go wrong at multiple properties at once, and you got to prioritize and figure out which ones to fix and how quickly.
Yeah, that's a big one too. Getting a contractor nowadays to do anything in a reasonable amount of time, at least around here, can be very difficult.
Yeah. So, and then, if he's a contractor, obviously, then there's certain things he can do, but he's probably not licensed for everything, right? I mean,
I wouldn't think, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that works for general, contracting licenses. Like, if you're a general contractor, are you then also licensed to do electrical and plumbing, or is
for residential? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that case, he's good, because then he can, but then, even then, even if you are a licensed contractor and you know exactly what you're doing, you still have to get certain things inspected, which means dealing with your local municipality and getting inspectors out there, and sometimes they're not quick on the draw. And
right.
So I think, again, this goes back to this idea that side hustles are great, but there's more to it than just saying, hey, I'm gonna rent a house out to somebody and make my mortgage payment using the money I get from that house that I'm renting.
Yeah, right.
It's not always that simple.
No, yeah, you're right. Definitely.
And what else did you say? I'm trying to think of stuff that friends of mine have done. Some of my friends, I had a friend he would do stuff. There was I don't know if they still do it. Amazon used to have a thing called Mechanical Turk.
Mechanical Turk. Okay.
Yeah, and it was the idea. We talked about this on the show because I gave you the whole history lesson on what a mechanical Turk was.
Yeah.
So I won't do it again. I promise.
The mechanical
the mechanical chess player.
Yes.
That was not a mechanical chess player, but so they would do little side jobs, things like that, technology based. They would do little coding, make little apps, things like that. As a side gig. There are people that read books for a side gig.
Yeah.
You can, there's a couple of companies out there, I guess, that let you do it, but essentially, audiobooks have become huge. People want to listen to stuff in their car. They want to listen to stuff while they run. They don't have time to sit down and actually read. Some people just don't like to read.
Yeah.
They would rather listen to a story.
Yeah.
Books. I'm going to show my age. Books on tape. I almost said books on tape.
Books on tape. Yeah.
Audiobooks are a huge thing.
Yeah.
But somebody's got to read them, and not every author is gifted vocally to be able to express a reading out loud. Some people can read out. Some Some people can read out loud, and then some people can add some,
Flair.
to the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you could, you might be able to do that, but it also just remember that a lot of time. There's a lot of time invested in doing certain things like that too.
But hopefully you find something that you enjoy. So, if you enjoy reading and you can do that for a side gig, that's a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. But you have to edit it. You have to cut it down. I mean, you know what that's like, even just editing this podcast.
Sure.
You've got to know how to use audio editing software like Audition or I can't remember what there's another really big one out there other than Audition
For audio?
What is it, Amplify or Audio? I can't remember what it is. Anyway, point being, you might need to know how to do some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Did we mention garage sailing? Did we talk about garage sailing?
Mention that, yeah. Yeah, selling stuff online like eBay. Though a lot of people make that a complete side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
I know a guy that he'll work a regular job, and then that'll be his needs covered with that money, and then all of his play money is through selling stuff on eBay.
Yeah. But
even that's becoming more expensive and difficult to do now with. You got to factor in shipping is costing a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And now with Amazon being free shipping, it's kind of forcing other companies to go the free shipping route too, because they're losing business.
Yeah. I mean, last month, right around the beginning of October, there was all those huge sales that Amazon did. And then, I noticed like Walmart and Target and everything was getting on the bandwagon, and I'm reasonably sure that the whole point is that they realize that a lot of people's holiday clubs get dispersed right around the second week of October.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now all of a sudden there's all these big sales around the second week of October.
Yeah.
And what Amazon does, everybody else sort of has to follow, because otherwise Amazon's going to get the lion's share of the money.
Yeah.
By running some sale of their own, so then Walmart does the same, and
right.
Yeah. So I guess the whole idea behind this episode has just been, again, side hustles are a big thing, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to earn some extra cash on the side, but just understand that there are additional costs involved,
whether that be monetary or not. Yeah,
that you may not necessarily be thinking about.
Right.
Even the garage sailing thing, you got to go out every Saturday morning and go garage sailing.
You got to beat everybody in the morning. You got to be up early, and
and you kind of got to know what to look for. Not everything, just because it's old doesn't mean it's valuable.
That's a big one. Yeah.
You
can tell a hardcore garage sailor, because they'll be looking at everything, but they'll also have their phone out, and they'll have like the eBay app up and checking prices, comparing prices.
Yeah.
And making sure that, hey, that's the valuable version,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And make sure that they're selling for that amount.
Yes. Completed. Right.
You can
ask for anything.
Yeah. You can look at these online auction houses and stuff, and you can list that thing for whatever you want.
Yep.
But you got to look at what has actually closed, what is actually
completed
sold,
items. Yep.
And see what they're selling for.
Yep.
And things like,
and even that, you're not going to make as much as you think, because they're, eBay and all of these other applications are taking cuts too. So
yeah, they got to make, I mean, they're in business.
Right.
They're going to take their cut.
You got to factor in the shipping. You got to factor in the fees. So
yeah. Packaging sometimes, boxing it up, bubble wrapping it if it's fragile.
Right.
All that stuff costs something. You got to and then even determining your carrier, whether you send it through the post office, UPS, FedEx.
Yeah, luckily a lot of those apps or those websites get you a little bit better deal on shipping costs, but still, you still have to factor that in.
Yeah. All right. So what's your side hustle going to be as we head into the time of year?
Whatever one that you said is going to be $100,000, I want to know, and I'm going to do that.
As soon as I figure it out, I'll let you know.
Right now, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I don't have time for anything right now.
Fair enough. All right. Go edit this podcast.
All right.
Thanks, Joe. See you later.
This podcast focuses on having valuable conversations on various topics related to banking and financial health. The podcast is grounded in having open conversations with professionals and experts with the goal of helping to take some of the mystery out of financial and related topics, as learning about financial products and services can help you make more informed financial decisions. Please keep in mind that the information contained within this podcast and any resources available for download from our website or other resources relating to bank chats is not intended and should not be understood or interpreted to be financial advice. The hosts, guests, and production staff of Bank Chats expressly recommend that you seek advice from a trusted financial professional before making financial decisions. The hosts of Bank Chats are not attorneys, accountants, or financial advisors, and the program is simply intended as one source of information. The podcast is not a substitute for a financial professional who is aware of the facts and circumstances of your individual situation. Thank you for listening. Please check out our full library of episodes, which can be found on the AmeriServ.com website. You can also download or stream the podcast from your favorite podcast app.